All right, so now this is step number 3, okay? Um, this is where you have already completed the kind of the skeleton. All of the pieces are connected towards one another. If you're not at this point, then stop watching this video and go back to the previous steps, um, because it's kind of pointless to move forward from this point on. But if you already have your skeleton, right, and you selected the one that you want to work with, and that's not to say that you can't go back if you've done several different iterations. It's not to say that you can't go back and follow these next couple steps with those iterations to see which ones you like better. Um, you could always do that as well, right? But the next step is to begin to create what we call massings, okay? And a massing is essentially looking at just the form. So all we're looking at is the shape of the building, right? And really just kind of in blocks as a mass. We're not looking at windows where we're going to put the door. We still don't know where the kitchen is, where's the bathroom going to be, where's the bedroom going to be. We're not considering any of that stuff at this point, right? Right now, it's simply just the overall form, the overall shape of the building. Okay. Now there is one requirement in this, is that at this point we need to start to look at square footages. Okay, because every requirement in the profession is it's usually tied to a square footage. Okay, the building codes has requirements for certain square footages for certain spaces. Whenever you take on a project, it'll have a square footage that you're confined to use. So at this point, we need to begin to work with square footages. Now, as an introduction, okay, what is the square footage? If you're not familiar with the term, it's essentially a unit of measurement, or it's the size of a space. Okay, and the easiest way, and the way we determine square footage, is simply by finding the area, right? Going back to our math classes, area is length times width. So the area of one 12 by 12 by 12 cube is the length times the width. So 12 feet times 12 feet is 144 square feet. Okay. So that means each cube has a square footage of 144 square feet. Now, when we're calculating square footage, we're not calculating the what we call the z-axis or the three-dimensional axis. It's simply just the floor space. Okay. We're not calculating volume, which would then require us to do 12 times 12 times 12. That's what we're not doing. What we are doing is just multiplying 12 times 12. That gives us the usable floor space, the usable square footage. Now, the requirement is that we have our skeleton, but we are only allowed to use a minimum of 1,000 square feet and a maximum of 1,300 square feet. Okay, so we have to work within that range. So if one incomplete cube is 144 square feet, then what you're going to have to do is do the math and figure out how many of these am I able to fill in, right? I have 12. I have 12 cubes. If I was to fill every cube up at 144 square feet each cube, I'm going to end up with something like 1,700. I did the math earlier. It's 1,700 and something, right? 1,700 square feet, which exceeds our allowable square footage. So that means that I'm going to have some incomplete cubes that are just left empty. All right. That means we're not going to fill in every single space. How many spaces we fill in is up to you. Now you could try to go for the full max, 1,300 square feet, or you could go with the minimum square feet. But this gives you a little bit of play when considering the form, the shape of the building, because you come up with the shape of a building and you could say, you know what, I like it. I like the way it looks at this point. Sure, it's only 1,000 square feet, but I'm okay with that. Or it could be the other way around, where you're doing the building and you're like, I still don't like it. I'm going to add another cube over here because if I do that, then the form looks more interesting. I just like the shape of the building much more. Okay, so give yourself that freedom to play around with the square footage as well as the form of the building. Now, the way we're going to start this, we'll start off simple. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by just working in rectangles. And I'm going to say, I'm going to connect these three back here, these three incomplete cubes, which is this one, and this one. And I'm going to say I'm going to make a mass right inside here. So I'll use the rectangle tool. I'm going to create a rectangle at the base, at the bottom. Okay. So let's say I'm going to start at the bottom corner here, click, move the cursor, I'm panning over, I'm zooming out, and I'm zooming in to this corner over here. Okay. Because this is the edge of this 12 by 12 cube. So now I have this. I'll use the push pull and I'm going to go up 12 feet. Enter. Now remember, once we go up, we always group 1, 2, 3, right click, make group, right? So here's one of my massings. Now I can begin to start to calculate, okay, this is 12 feet by 12 and 12 and 12, that's 36 feet. So I can pull out the calculator. 12 feet times 36 feet is, I don't know, I'm not that great at math. However, there's a simpler tool. If we simply go into the group, so I am going to double click in the group. So 1, 2, right? Now I'm in the edit group. I could select all these surfaces. If I select the surface and I come up here to the entity info section, it tells me what the area is, 432 square feet. Okay. Now for my Mac users, you may not have entity info pulled up. So you'll probably have to go up to one of your bars up here. I believe it's the Windows bar. And then it'll say either default tray or it'll just show entity info. So you're gonna have to pull that out. And then you'll see the entity info and you'll see the area, which is the same as the square footage. So I could jot this number down, 432 square feet. Got it, right? We're just starting off, but now I know this is 432 square feet, and I could keep a tab on the side as I'm writing it down, or keep a tab on the side and write down each massing that I make. This way I could add everything up at the end and make sure that I'm within that 1,000 to 1,300 square foot range. Now, maybe what I'll do is do another massing over here, connecting these two. So I'll do the rectangle tool, hit the letter R. And again, I'm going to go from this corner over here to this corner. Hit the space bar, select the surface, and I'm going to use the push pull. And I'm going to go up 12 feet, enter, and then triple click, 1, 2, 3, right click, make group. Right. And essentially these massings, this is going to be our building, right? This is what we're looking at, right? Now, when we're done with it, I mean, we're gonna remodel all of this stuff so it's not as messy and it looks cleaned up. But right now we're just looking at the kind of the skeleton, the overall form. Now I'm gonna come up over here. And I really like this kind of incomplete cube that's just kind of hanging off on its own, kind of just cantilevering. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And I'm going to click on this corner and come over here to that corner there. Use the push pull. I'm going to go up 12 feet. Okay. Triple click, 1, 2, 3, right click, make group. All right. And so there we go. We have it. Oh, wait a minute. There's a mistake. There's a mistake because this was just supposed to be 12 feet and I accidentally clicked this corner, which is actually this incomplete cube. It should be connected to this incomplete cube. Not a problem. So what we'll do is we'll double click into the massing, 1, 2. This takes me back into the edit group. I could select this surface and going to simply use the push-pull tool, the letter P. Click and move this in and make sure we click on this corner here. All right, so essentially what we did is we pushed this into the corner it needed to align to. And there we go. Now we have it. Not a problem. So I forgot to find the square footage of this guy. So this is 288. Let's go ahead and take this. Oops, just want the one surface. 288. Okay. So at this point, you'd have to do the math. I'm actually not sure. But we are probably close to our 1,000 square feet. So now what I have to do is leaving the skeleton, because here's the thing about this project. We're going to leave the skeleton, right? The skeleton's going to come into play later on in the semester as we kind of begin to progress, and we're going to use the skeleton for other things, but the skeleton is staying. So even though we're not using these 12 by 12 cubes, right, for our massings, they're still going to be part of our final model. They're still going to stay there, right? We're going to keep it. So I am kind of, in a way, looking at the finished form. And to me, it seems like it's missing some volume to it still, right? So I'm probably at 1,000 square feet. I could probably add another 1 or 2 cubes. So it makes the most sense to add 2 up here. Now, where am I supposed to go? The cube ends over here. So I think right there. Let me pull this up 12 feet. Did I do that right? I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and measure. Use a tape measure. Go from this corner to that corner, 12 feet 6. Now, so I'm 6 inches past. That's not a problem. So I'll just select the surface, use the push pull, and line it up to that edge right there. Or I could also hit the letters. I hit the number 6 to go 6 inches. And now I'll triple click and make group. This is probably 288 square feet, 282. So I'm probably at my max. Okay. So I'm looking at this, I'm looking at my massing. It's not bad. I'm okay with this, right? Orbit around, make sure you look. Ooh, I kind of don't like this kind of stacked. I have 6 cubes that are stacked onto one another. And if I was to imagine what this building is going to look like more than anything, what is this elevation going to look like? Or what I mean is, like, what is this wall going to look like? Like, this is just one big blank wall. And it's not that interesting to see, it's a 24-foot by 36-foot wall, right? Imagine this being all stuccoed. It's not very pleasing. So I want to change this up somehow. Maybe what I'll do. Sorry, I'm thinking here. Maybe to change it up, what I'll do is take this bottom one. Let's double click, use the push pull, and let's take 1 cube away. So we're going to go in 12 feet. How's that? It's a little bit better. I can't really take this cube, this corner cube. Oops. I can't really do that, because then we have that one condition I had talked about in the past where you can't have cubes that are just connected at the corners. Now that I'm looking at this cube here has to come out 6 inches. Let's come out to there. Right. So I can't really have that, which in my opinion would make this all look that much more interesting. I could do a couple things. maybe I take this one and I move this one out this way, 12 feet. But then that means I would have to take this one off because I can't, again, I can't have diagonal connections. Now, how many do I have at this point? Let's see. So then I'd have to double check the square footage. I think I have space for one more. Maybe what I'll do is I'll add another one over here in this corner and cover up this incomplete cube. Use the push-pull, 12 feet. And, oops. Let's see, use the push-pull, go up 12 feet. Now this does become a problem because I actually did the cube wrong. I overlapped this. So this part, let me delete all this. Now the reason why I'm deleting this one is that it'd be too difficult to kind of get inside here to try to get that surface to push-pull it in. So I'm going to go ahead and do it correctly. Use the push-pull, 12 feet, enter. All right, make group. There we go. So now we're looking at the form. I like it. I'm liking it. Now, again, it probably does seem a bit odd because we do have these things that are just kind of sticking out that are pretty random. But again, these will make sense, or we'll try to make more sense of it in the future down the line. For now, we're just looking at the form, right? And we're trying to do something a little bit more interesting than just a box. All right. Now notice that when creating this, what it's a process to design something, and that's just anything, right? You don't get it right the first time. You give it a shot and then you tweak it, you play with it, you mold it, you form it, you shape it. And that's exactly what we did. We did it. We took a look at it. We saw what we didn't like, and then tried different iterations, tried different things, moved things around until we got something that we're more happy with. Okay. Oh, I have a problem. Maybe you guys already saw this before I did. We have a diagonal connection, this and this here. We can't have that because if this is a space, this is a space, how am I going to connect from this side to this side? Okay. So I'd have to, at this point, I'd have to check my square footages. Now I've kind of messed them up already. So I could go in, that's 432. That's 288. So we're at around 700. This is the 288. We're now probably around 1,000. And I think I have enough. I'd have to double check my math, but I think I have enough for one more cube. So let's put this cube over here. Well, it's going to end up having to be back here. I was going to place it here, but there's a problem with placing it here. I don't have an incomplete cube. My original form didn't have an incomplete cube here. Now, I probably could, and I guess in a way I'm okay with this. I could take this one because the way we created the incomplete cube was pretty arbitrary, pretty random. So what's to say that, when I was building it before, I didn't put one over here. So now I'm manipulating and changing it a bit. So let's go ahead and place another incomplete cube over here. So I'm okay with you moving some of your incomplete cubes around afterwards to get the form that you like, because that's really more important. No need to be really strict on the incomplete cubes when we kind of place them all at random anyways. Okay, so now we should be fine. There we go. And there's my mass ink. So that's it. That's all we're doing for this assignment. This is what you would end up submitting for the assignment. In the next class, what we'll end up covering is how do we take this kind of mashed up project and begin to turn it into an actual building with walls, floors, roofs, and then we're going to start cutting it up and adding windows and doors and things like that, turning it into an actual building. All right. As always, if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.